Where's 38 and why do I care? Welcome to my channel, Life on 30A. I'm AJ BEDDOUK, your local trusted 30A real estate agent with the luxury division of the Emerald Group right here on 30A. I live right here on Santa Rosa Beach, which is where 30A is located, and our office is in Fort Walton Beach. I'm giving you this information because you might be the type that needs to go and do a Google search and be like, let me look these people up before I start watching their YouTube videos and make sure I am looking at someone who has credible information. Here's a link over here somewhere. The editors will put it there somewhere so that you can go and check out our Google reviews, see how many, like over 100 5-star reviews we have. We do quite a bit of business in the area, very knowledgeable, and we are here to help. First and foremost, congratulations on landing on my YouTube channel. Whether you have some friends with exquisite taste and they recommended it, or you just found it because of YouTube recommendations, I am happy that you're here. On this channel, I talk about all things 30A related. So the real estate market, kind of dramas that's going on. We do property tours. This is a real estate centric channel. So if you're here for like travel stuff, it's not so much for that, but mostly real estate related. My goal is to help you make the most informed decisions whenever you're considering purchasing or selling here on 30A. So in this video specifically, I'm going to be going over where is 30A and why should it be on your radar if you're considering a purchase. 30A is this 26-mile stretch of road, if you will. We've got 98 that's gonna be our, east to west highway here in the Florida Panhandle, and 30A is going to kind of dip south on the west end and then travel along and then come back up to the north and meet up with 98. So on our west, we're going to have Miramar Beach, and on our east, we're going to have Panama City Beach. If you haven't heard of Miramar Beach, then just west of there is going to be Destin, and I'm sure the majority of you have heard of both Destin and Panama City Beach. So we're in between those 2 points. If you have heard of Destin and Panama City Beach, then you probably have some images and maybe some B-roll going through your mind right now. Some parties, some DUIs, some arrests maybe. Yeah, there's quite a bit. There's a lot of ruckus going on both in Destin and in Panama City Beach. But here along 30A, it's a bit classier, a little bit more luxurious. The price point is a bit different. So we're kind of the calm between the two storms. Between Destin and us, we have Miramar Beach and Sandestin. So that's a pretty good buffer from 30A to Destin. But then on the east side, we're going to have Panama City Beach right there, but we do have a bridge. So they're going to cross over a bridge before the party is here. So we have seen, some kind of party-esque things happening in our area, especially if you watch the news, you've seen anything about like Seaside and sort of takeovers and just a lot of, teenagers running around without their parents at night. So there's been a little bit of that, but for the most part, 30A is a bit more calm and luxurious than the surroundings. So if you've got this image in your head and you're like, oh great, another party town, that's not what we are. We're like this cool beachy area with lots of boutique shops, not a whole lot of chains, although that might be changing a little bit, like hint, hint, golf place. Hate it for you. I'm going to come back to that. So anyone who doesn't get the reference, don't worry, I'm going to come back to it. So 30A is kind of like World of Beers, but for communities, if you will, because you have 12 different communities ranging along 30A, and each of one of them has different Each of them has different amenities and different personalities, different things that you can and can't do. And they're just very, very unique. So you can just walk along or, bicycle along, because it's 26 miles. It would be quite a bit to walk. But you can walk along or what have you and see you can feel the personality shift as you go from one community to the next to the next. So I'm going to go over all of these personalities with you, show some B-roll, let you know what each of these areas look like, some of their amenities, what type of personalities they're going to mesh with, so that it can be on your radar and you can come check us out. If we're starting from west to east, because, well, we're in the United States and Americans like to read from left to right. So if we're looking at a map, we're going left to right. So we're going to do that, America. So on the west end, we're going to have Dune Allen Beach. Dune Allen Beach is kind of the beginning of 30A, right? So you kind of ease into it. We're like, oh, okay, we're going to see some price points that are a little different from some of the other areas maybe, but still not quite crazy just yet. We're going to have some beautiful properties that are either right on the water or set back a bit. It's a very chill vibe. It's a very like slow roll into 30A. You've got some restaurants, you've got, you know, some public beach accesses that are fantastic. We don't have a whole lot of public beach accesses here on 30A, but in Dune Island Beach, we do have a couple. You're also going to see some kind of larger lots. Some of the houses that are newer are going to be massive and gorgeous. And then you're also going to have some older properties. And you're like, oh, okay. It's got this like kind of what you see is what you get kind of feel to it with, you know, a decent sized price tag, if you will. Next up to the east is going to be Gulf Place. Gulf Place is this like cool, funky urban development-esque kind of community. So we're going to have some waterfront spots, and we're going to have most of the action kind of to the northwest of the intersection. If you pull up a map, you're going to see it kind of occupies this like like a pizza shape right there up an intersection, and just to the east of that we're going to have shunt gullies. So Gulf Place has a bunch of condos and then some green space, and there used to be quite a few boutique options there, like some really cute coffee shop and restaurants, and you know, some different shops for like your beach attire and jewelry. Just super cool feel, very chill. But it looks like Alvin's is coming in. So that's what I was talking about earlier. A lot of these boutiques, we're not seeing them so much. And I believe the last thing I read was that even the artist corner is going away. There was this set up in the green space back behind the commercial area, and all of these artists had set up their little shops, and they were super cute. It was cool to go over there and just hang out. There would be music, a bunch of like stray cats hanging out, and it was just a cool space. So very like chill area with quite a bit to do. They'd have like events, and you can hang out on the green space, of course. And just on the south side, you have probably the largest public beach along 30A, the Edwaleen Beach access. Huge parking lot for what you typically see on 30A, and you have easy access to that beach. And just on the north side, you have shunt gullies. That's like my spot. Shunt gullies is so chill, and their entrees are fantastic. Before I quit drinking, I really enjoyed their beverages as well. I'm not one to go out to eat by myself. I don't know, I don't like it, but I can go to shunt gullies by myself. So if you're like that too, and you're like, I need a spot, I can just go and chill, like it's pretty solid. And the parking situation is easy. So if you're also like me and you're coming from an area where like parallel parking isn't a thing, or, you know, fighting for parking isn't a thing, shunt gullies is pretty good because they have a massive parking lot. It takes up such a huge footprint. Like you don't see that on 30A, but shunt gullies has it. So it's my favorite for a few reasons. Definitely check it out. If we keep heading east, then we're going to run into Blue Mountain Beach. Blue Mountain Beach, I'm going to get a lot of hate of this from our locals, but I feel like Blue Mountain Beach is kind of like 30A's Crestview. So hear me out, you guys. Some of you are going to be laughing at this, and some of you are going to be like, what did she just say? There's some gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous homes in Blue Mountain Beach. I'm not saying that they're not. For those of you that don't know, Crestview is a far northern area here, and you can get a lot of bang for your buck over there, but it's also our highest elevation. So here on 30A, Blue Mountain Beach is our highest elevation, and it isn't quite as like manicured or like set up so intentionally, it would seem, as like Gulf Place, you know, with their urban development style. Blue Mountain Beach is a little bit more almost sporadic, and you're going to see a whole lot more variations. You have plenty of commercial and also plenty of residential areas. So we're going to have new builds, we're going to have older builds, you're going to have condos and townhomes and houses, and a great beach access again. And it's this massive footprint. Blue Mountain Beach is huge. I really like it, but it's a very like chill kind of area. You can basically find whatever you want in Blue Mountain Beach. If you want an older property, you can probably find it there. You want a brand new home, you can find it there. You want a brand new subdivision? Absolutely. You want some great Italian food? Mimo's is right there. I go there with my daughter, and we absolutely love it. I'm not going there by myself because I don't know, it just feels weird, but I will go there on a mommy-daughter date, okay? And they always treat us super well. You've also got some other great restaurants over there. I'm not going to go through and just list all the restaurants because this isn't a travel station, but it's a good area, but that's kind of the feel. It's a bit more rural feeling, if you will. They do have a really great ice cream place there too. If you've heard about 30A before, then there's a good chance that you've heard of Grayton Beach. And Grayton Beach is just to the east of Blue Mountain Beach. So this is another place that's going to occupy a massive footprint because we have the Grayton Beach State Park here as well. But Grayton Beach is outside of the state park. Grayton Beach is kind of like 30A's beachy Austin, Texas. You know, if you've been to Austin, Texas, and you know they like to, their slogan is like, keep Austin weird. You kind of get that same funky vibe here in Grayton Beach. Lots of artists, lots of boutique shops. We've got some, you know, kind of mom and pop restaurants that have been here for ages, and also the state park. So there were a lot of great parks whenever I was in Austin, Texas. So here in Grayton Beach, I love the Grayton Beach State Park. You can, you know, camp there. You can go to the beach, which is beautiful. You can go kayaking, paddleboarding, like what have you, in the coastal dune lake. It's absolutely lovely. I love going there. The beach itself is wonderful. The facilities are great. And then doing the kayaking or the paddleboarding is fantastic. The coastal dune lake will actually kind of swing around and connect to the Gulf. So you have this great shallow area for your kids to swim in. It makes it a little bit less stressful for some of us who have small children. And I really like stress-free situations. But also you'll see like Jeeps and other, you know, all-terrain vehicles over here on the beach. Now, don't get caught doing that unless you win the lotto, okay? Because you do have to have a special permit to actually get permission to drive up onto the beach. And you don't want to just do it. For one, you could potentially get stuck, and for two, that fine is going to really put a negative spin on your vacation, whether you're, you know, vacationing in your secondary home or you're vacationing just visiting the area. It's really going to suck. But something that doesn't suck is another thing that we're allowed to have on our beaches here in South Walton is dogs. So a lot of our area does not allow dogs on the beaches, but here we'll actually set up like dog stations. So there'll be these like stands right at the beach accesses with doggy bags so that you can take them with you just in case your four-legged friend forgets his manners and goes to the bathroom in the sand. You can pick it up, take care of it. It's very simple. No one's going to think anything of it. You just pick it up and you're good to go. Now, this is only available for permanent pets, right? You have to own property here in Walton County in order to get a permit and then bring your dog onto the beach. You cannot transfer this over to tenants if you purchase a rental property here and then have tenants with a pet. You can't just give them the permit and let the dog go. You'll get a fine and potentially have your permit taken away, and then you can't bring your dog onto the beach anymore. So just some things to know. We love dogs. So again, kind of like Austin, Texas, if you will. Okay, so moving right along. If we continue east, then we're gonna run into watercolor. Now, it's called watercolor because all the properties have to paint their homes, you know, different shades of watercolor, like different paint colors that fit watercolor. In any case, it's really pretty, and it's also massive. Like if you're just driving along 30A, you could very easily miss it. Like you'll see the, I just said like 6 times, you guys, like 12 today. You'll see a sign that says watercolor, but then that's kind of it because it's going to hide a bit behind Seaside, but don't let that, you know, confuse you. It's there. Watercolor is like a massive secret resort. It's got tons of amenities, a massive footprint, and it is absolutely beautiful. Like, I did it again. If I was someone that wanted to feel like I was living in the woods, but also super close to amenities, and I was just kind of hiding in my own little space, then I would definitely think of watercolor. Watercolor, it has everything that you could need while still like having all of the trees and feeling like you're outside, you know, even when you're inside, because a lot of these properties are going to have Florida rooms and such that just kind of open to the exterior so you can kind of bring the outside in. It's a very welcoming and inviting place. They've got a bridge that goes over one of the dune lakes and a great green space and a boathouse. It's just got so much, and it's not a gated community. So for having everything that it does, you would expect it to be gated, but instead it's very welcoming. Oh, and they have a Publix. Yeah, a Publix. everything that you need. It's beautiful. I love watercolor. If you haven't checked it out, I'll throw a video somewhere. One of my editors will pop a video over there so that you can check out a watercolor video later on. The houses are absolutely fantastic and they have great amenities. Highly recommend you check out this area if you're the type that wants to see trees and stuff, but still feel like you're in a luxurious place, because you are. Since we talked a little bit about Seaside, since watercolor is sort of hidden by it, let's talk about Seaside, which is just slightly to the east and maybe south of watercolor. Seaside is like jumping from a super wooded kind of rural area to a very urban area. So Seaside is actually meant to be an urban development and have everything there that you could possibly want, all within walking distance, to include your education. So you've got food trucks, you've got mom and pop restaurants, you've got private beach access, you've got an amphitheater, you have schools, everything is right there. It reminds me of a Gulf Place if Gulf Place were to do something with that green area behind it and lose all the condos and throw a bunch of cottages in there. In Seaside, all of the cottages have to have these white picket fences and they all have to be different. It's really cool. If you've never walked around Seaside before, definitely give it a go. This is also where the Truman film was filmed. The Truman Show was filmed. So you can go check out that house too as you're like walking around, checking out all those boutique shops. You've got an ice cream place there. I know I brought up ice cream again, but it's Florida. It gets hot. Ice cream is just the go-to when it's super hot outside. So it is what it is. And all those food trucks are fantastic. There are events over here in Seaside. Seaside is where I would go if I was maybe like from New York City or DC. So I wanted that like everything right here kind of feel, but then still having the beach in the backyard. That's what I would recommend Seaside for. It's definitely going to be one of your maybe louder and more congested areas, far more than say watercolor. They've also got some great amenities, lots of pools. It's a pretty great area. Now, if you want to talk about going from one extreme to the next, if you thought watercolor to Seaside was a big jump, going from Seaside just to the east to Seagrove is huge. Seaside is kind of like a little city, and then we go into Seagrove, which you've probably never even heard of. And if you talk to any of your friends who have been to 30A, they'd probably be like, I have no idea where that is. Maybe I heard of it, but I've never been there. Seagrove is kind of like a Blue Mountain Beach with even less uniformity. We're going from cobblestone roads in Seaside to dirt roads in Seagrove. Yeah, there are still plenty of dirt roads. It's got, winding, narrow paths. You've got large houses, smaller houses, tons of trees. If you were the type of person who would prefer to take a vacation somewhere in the woods, but maybe your wife wants to be on the beach, this is a great location because you can both have exactly what you want. You get that wooded feeling, that seclusion, that kind of isolation, but then, oh, I feel like being personable, or I want to be out in the open and experience the beach. It's all right there. It's kind of like playing pretend that you're isolated all by yourself. So great location for those of you that maybe have, different ideas of what the perfect vacation looks like within the same household. This is definitely a second home that could appease both. Next up is going to be water sound. Water sound is different from anything that we have talked about so far, and it is massive. I mean, there are something like 4 entrances because they've got smaller subdivisions that are part of water sound, and then the main area. You've got this massive clubhouse and boardwalks that go over the dunes onto the beach so that the dunes are protected. They have done a great job trying to create this sort of symbiotic relationship between the properties and the natural life around them. Water sound, while each little portion of the subdivision is going to have their own amenities, they also have those shared amenities like the clubhouse. Water sound is kind of what watercolor would be if watercolor was on the south side of 30A and put up gates and security guards at every entrance. Water sound is like a town within a town. They have events. There's golfing. There's an inn. There's a fitness center. Amenities upon amenities upon amenities, but it's all fenced in and it's got gates at every entrance. So it's kind of like if you want to be friendly, but only with people that can afford to be in your neighborhood. is how water sound feels to me. I've been in there quite a few times, toured quite a few properties and brought some buyers in, and I love it. I do love it, but that is definitely the feel. They also have lots of areas for you to bring your dog. That, welcome dogs feeling definitely continues within water sound. They've always got a green space for bringing your dog to walk to make sure that it doesn't go use the restroom in the neighbor's yard. Okay, talking about people that only want to be friends with people that can afford to live in their neighborhood, the next up is Alice Beach. If you haven't heard of Alice Beach, then you've definitely never heard of 30A, but if you have heard of 30A, you've definitely heard of Alice Beach. Alice Beach is going to be the one with all of the white buildings. Everything is white. The butteries are white. The houses are white. Everything is white and immaculate. Everything is completely landscaped. You're not going to see a single stray piece of grass. Everything is just so well and perfectly maintained at all times. It reminds me of a supermodel that is constantly being touched up, and only specific paparazzi are allowed to take the pictures. So you have to get on this special vendor list in order to take professional photos over in Alice Beach or videos. So it's very, even though it's not gated, it is very exclusive and very much you can look at me and you can appreciate my beauty, but watch where you step kind of feel to it. So definitely enjoy walking around, enjoy the architecture. It is truly beautiful, and everyone who builds in there has a requirement to have this outdoor space that's considered a sort of almost like an artistic add-on specifically for the public to observe and potentially even sit down. Just always keep in mind that there are people roving around on golf carts and they're watching to make sure that you don't leave a speck of dirt anywhere. It's kind of the feel that I get from Alice Beach, but it is beautiful. And there are a couple of restaurants in there that are super nice to go to. Now, they also put on some great events. There's the 30A Wine Festival for those of you that are still imbibing. I am not, but it would have been super fun back then. Also, the digital graffiti event where they have basically light creating graffiti on the houses. It's super, super cool. These are great events where I can go and bump elbows with people who buy houses that are worth more than I'll make in my entire life. And that's super fun and okay with me. They are a really good time. I like to make jokes, but it is a really great time. If you're interested in that kind of thing, make sure you book well in advance because the tickets sell out so quickly, and then you miss out on doing something super fun right there in Alice Beach. Okay, so moving on from Alice Beach, we have Seacrest just to the east. Seacrest is kind of like this graduation or buffer between Alice Beach and Rosemary Beach, maybe like the forgotten middle child. It has some great potential, some great amenities, a beautiful pool over there, some beautiful houses. It's still very close to the beach, but it's surrounded by these like monster neighborhoods, Alice Beach and Rosemary Beach, which are like the iconic neighborhoods here along 38. And then you've got Seacrest right in between. So it doesn't really get a whole lot of notoriety, I would say, but it's definitely not one to look past if you're considering purchasing in this area, because it does still have some great amenities, some very beautiful properties, and still close access to the beach. And of course, super close access to Alice Beach if you wanted to go walking around and enjoy that architecture, or over in Rosemary Beach and feel that intimacy. I know I just said that Rosemary Beach and Alice Beach were, the monsters of 30A, if you will. And I don't say that with like a negative connotation. I just mean in size and icon status, essentially. Rosemary Beach is very different from Alice Beach and typically has a little bit higher of a price point as well. So Rosemary Beach is going to have a lot more trees and it's going to feel a lot more intimate. It's very French Quarter or, European colony type feel. And whereas Alice Beach reminds me of, those homes that you would go into when you were a child and everyone's watching you to make sure you don't step on the carpet or touch the wall. That's Alice Beach. And then Rosemary Beach is like stepping into the home where immediately they're like, would you like a snack, or like a piece of candy, something like that. It's a bit more of an intimate feel while still having a ton of luxury. I mean, you've got the Pearl there, you have pescados, you have fine dining and, regular dining, cobblestone paths, you've got boutique stores, and you've got gorgeous properties and amenities. And the price point is a bit up there, but they're so friendly. They've got these hidden paths that walk throughout the entire area, and they've got these like exercise setups, so you can stroll along these hidden paths and then come to a clearing where there's like this kind of exercise setup there, so you can knock out a little workout and then continue walking along, so that you're nowhere near the cars because the roads are a little bit narrow, so you don't really want to be walking the same space as the cars anyways. So you've got this far more picturesque setting that's just like a beckoning to you, like, yes, please come get some dirt on your shoes. It's not a big deal. Let's enjoy nature. Let's break a sweat and enjoy something really beautiful while you're at it. It's just far more welcoming and still very luxurious. I'm a big fan. They've also got these wonderful farmers markets. They occupy the green space right along 38, and you'll know it's Rosemary Beach because you'll have the oaks that are forming this like tunnel over 38, and it's just absolutely beautiful. If you've never checked out Rosemary Beach, make sure that you do. Last but definitely not least, we have Inlet Beach. Inlet Beach is the easternmost community, if you will, on 30A. And people like it so much that it's even extending to the north side of 98. It is kind of a smaller land mass area over there, so it's not really surprising. They've even created a tunnel that is going under 98, so people can traverse from the north to the south to get access to the beach without putting themselves in danger for it. There is a great beach access right there in Inlet Beach, and it is set up very efficiently, kind of like a grid. So Inlet Beach is very clean to me. It doesn't have the same exclusivity feel as, Alice Beach, Rosemary Beach, and it doesn't have that same urban feel as like Gulf Place or Seaside. It's its own kind of entity. It's almost like what Dune Allen Beach would be all the way to the west, but just newer properties and more grid-like. But it's super fun. I've told you about all the different areas along 38. Now let me tell you about some of the dramas that we're having. I did tell you guys about the boutique stores kind of starting to go away over in Gulf Place, and Alvin's is seemingly taking over. Well, another takeover is currently happening as well. So there used to be a customary use policy in place where normal people could have access to the majority of the beach, within reason. There was a certain line that beachfront property owners had ownership of, and then the rest was free to be used by the public. Recently, that was taken away. So now we have this massive privatization of the beaches here along 38, and it's becoming difficult. We're already seeing a decline in our short-term rental numbers because people don't want to fight to get to the beach. The whole point of renting a place within walking distance to a public beach access was so people could have access to the beach, but they're learning that now with this change, all that is an access directly to the water, and then you got to fan out and walk to the closest public beach. So it's causing a bit of drama both between the locals and also the renters. So I know you're probably hearing this and you're like, oh man, well then why do I even want to consider 30A then if this is something that's going on? Well, for one thing, our beaches are amazing. We're the Emerald Coast for a reason. We are, I believe, the #1 beach in the United States. And that just goes from, I think, the east side of Pensacola to Panama City Beach. It's not a very wide area. But here on 30A, it's still got a bit less pollution, if you will. So like from noise pollution and light pollution, we don't have a whole bunch of stores and such, like a boardwalk right there on the beach. So it's very well kept. And in addition to that, all, we'll say, good things must come to an end, right? In the state of Florida, we don't have a state income tax because our tourism is so good. It boosts the economy so much that we don't need that extra taxing to actually help our state. Well, that's not going to be the case in our area if this continues. So I am highly anticipating that at some point the locals are going to cause enough of a ruckus that we're going to have to claim eminent domain, because the local business owners, the service workers, people that live here are just not going to have that income anymore, because the tourism is going to come to a grinding halt. And at some point, the county's going to have to do something about it. Maybe even Governor DeSantis comes out here for a visit and is like, what the heck is going on? I'm thoroughly disgusted with this. Let's make a change and give the beaches back to the public. And I know if you're a beachfront property owner, you're probably listening to this and hating me, but it is what it is. This is where our tourism comes from. And if that catalyst is gone, then it's going to have a massive and severe negative impact on our entire community. And I would hate to see that happen, because this area should be enjoyed by everyone. It's a beautiful, beautiful area. If you are looking to make a purchase along 30A right now and you're concerned about where would you or your tenants be walking to actually use a bit of the beach and not just walking to the water, go ahead and comment down below or reach out to me. All my contact information is on the screen. I'm happy to help you. There are areas that are still very close to the beach where there's an actual public beach and you can use that. So just to recap, 30A needs to be on your radar if you're considering a second home or a property on the beach, because our beaches are amazing. Our people are fantastic. We have tons of mom and pop spots, lots of boutique stores. We care about each other and the community and taking care of the beaches, not to mention just how beautiful and healing it is here. And like I said, you've got like a World of Beers-esque world of beaches, if you will, right here along this 26-mile stretch. So there's something for every personality, and some of these areas even cater to multiple, if you have multiple within the household. If you haven't done so already, please click that subscribe button and ding the bell so that you get notified every time I do another video. And if you're still not sure about 30A, please go through the playlist of videos. I've got tons of video tours on there for different properties, and they are beautiful. Get acquainted with what our area has to offer, and then give me a call for your purchase. And I'll see y'all at the next video.